on this edition of Lifeguard.
I'm on scene with a heart attack in progress.
It's not weird.
You got a shock?
Okay, shock.
And scorching weather in Mission Beach creates chaos.
Can you open your eyes for me, please?
We had a young girl that was seizing.
Stay with us. Hey.
Plus, a South Sea storm pushes trouble to La Jolla.
Sometimes people just have no idea.
Like these two guys heading out spearfishing right now. I guarantee they'll probably be back in within 10 minutes.
The lifeguards of Southern California protect over 400 miles of coastline.
It's just really us versus nature.
And nothing impacts their day like the weather.
As lifeguards, the weather dictates the type of day that you're going to have.
Shark sighting, clear the water. I need medics to keep each dock and other units.
On these beaches, lifeguards are the first responders.
1, 2, 3, 4. When you get this many people coming to the beach, things are going to happen.
Hey, you all right, buddy? You there?
They are there to save you.
He told me to grab the buoy. He was literally right there.
They are there to lifeguard. Welcome to Mission Beach, San Diego. Each summer, hundreds of thousands of tourists flock here to enjoy the various activities offered on and off the beach. Today, a high-pressure system is pushing temperatures into the mid-90s, and Sergeant Rick Strobel is preparing for what could be a busy day.
Sometimes on the busiest days, nothing happens. Sometimes on the coldest, cloudiest days with nobody out here, we make all kinds of rescues. But when you get this many people coming to the beach in this type of heat, things are going to happen.
Requesting medics for a 16-year-old female, moderate status.
A young girl has collapsed on Mission Beach. Strobel arrives on scene to assist lifeguard Daryl Pollack.
So no history of seizures.
When we arrived on scene, we had a young girl that was seizing in front of our tower.
You guys check to see if she has any old trauma.
Yeah, she's just clean. She won't open it up. Okay. When we arrived on scene, we had a teenage girl experiencing what we were led to believe was her first seizure ever. Her parents were very upset. They hadn't experienced this before.
The victim's jaw is clenched tight. In this situation, lifeguards are trained to keep her nasal passages open and administer oxygen.
Can you open your eyes for me, please?
You're always shocked to see younger people experiencing medical issues like a seizure. And to see somebody of her age in a state where she was disoriented and seizing, it's just a really uncomfortable feeling. You want to look at me? Can you look at me at all?
She was agitated. She wasn't breathing effectively, so we gave her oxygen.
Yeah, get the stretcher ready. Your eyes are rolled. Responsive to pain only. Steams. Looks like it's kind of hot. You all right now? There you go. All right. Nice job.
After several minutes, the girl comes out of her seizure. She's confused, but not injured.
It's Cola.
Hello.
That's
How you doing? You feeling better?
Lifeguards do not know what has caused her seizure and what may trigger it again.
You know where you're at? You know where you're at right now? Okay. All right, so Polo's going to try to take your blood pressure, okay?
Suddenly,
Here you go. You doing okay? Stay with us. Hey.
the girl goes limp and faints.
9202 sec, 98 beats per minute, 130 over 100.
Let's just go back down. That's actually, hey, Charlie.
Seconds seem like minutes in this situation. And in dealing with the patient, we want to treat the patient. We want to find out everything that's going on.
Yeah.
So when we set her up like this, she went to pass out again, so let's just keep her laid down.
Yeah, keep her laid down. You can elevate her legs a little bit too.
Lifeguards lay the victim flat to move blood to her brain. She regains consciousness as they load her onto the stretcher.
Bonita, Cove for a possible heart attack. Has about 2 minutes out.
Possible heart attack at Bonita.
We were dealing with a seizure patient when we got the call of a CPR case right across the street here from the Mission Beach Main Lifeguard Station.
Bonita Cove is roughly 600 yards from Strobel's location. But beach traffic on this crowded Saturday afternoon is hampering the rescue effort. Lifeguard Sergeant Eric Kerr, on patrol nearby, arrives Code 3.
I'm on scene with an approximately 60-year-old male, heart attack in progress. He's breathing.
He jumps in to assist second-year lifeguard Andrew Newberry, who was the first responder.
He was blue in the face. He had a really thready pulse, hard to find. A lot of difficulty breathing, kind of laying on his side, and he was in rough shape. At that point, you want to make sure to check for a pulse. You know, you start going through your basic CPR. So you want to check pulse, no pulse, check for breathing. If he doesn't have any breathing, we had one of his family members let us know he has a history of heart problems. So from there, you just go into CPR.
Phenol was the medication that he was on for a state that was put in 10 years ago.
All right. Well, the most important thing in CPR is compressions. Because if you're not doing good compressions, then you're not adequately supplying the heart with blood. So as long as compressions are done continuously, that heart can be continuously supplied with blood. But as soon as you have a break in compressions, it makes it difficult for the heart to recover from that. So it's important to continuously do compressions while fitting in ventilations when you can, approximately every 5 to 6 seconds or so.
Dispatch, 2 Sam is on scene.
2 Sam on scene.
Lifeguards Rick Strobel and Charlie Knight arrive from Mission Beach and quickly break out their medical pack.
This call took place over on Mission Bay. It's an area where we have some of our brand new lifeguards assigned. It's a tough call for them.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
This is a major call, maybe one of the first CPR cases they've ever been on. So what we try to do is get there as quickly as possible to provide a little more experience.
Lifeguard Charlie Knight takes over as medical supervisor.
Hey, get back on the chest. CPR. Get back on the chest.
All San Diego lifeguards are trained EMTs. 3 are also licensed paramedics, including Knight.
Okay, switch in, go in.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
When you have CPR, it's cardiopulmonary resuscitation, you're artificially pumping the heart. So by squeezing that heart muscle, it's going to cause blood to flow in the body.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Breath. 1, 2, 3.
This whole scene is playing out right in front of the victim's wife.
This isn't happening. It was very, very scary.
Strobel interviews witnesses to get any information that might help.
My wife Effie noticed that John had slumped over, almost face in the plate.
He was sitting eating and he just kind of keeled over, and we realized almost immediately that it was either a heart attack or a stroke.
You couldn't react any faster to a situation like this, especially on a crowded Saturday afternoon. So they were on it way, way quick.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Continuous compressions, continuous compressions.
Despite their efforts, the pulseless patient does not respond.
His name is John.
John. Okay, then we're gonna go in there, John. Is that bag spike?
CPR is now the only thing keeping blood moving through his body.
I got 2 minutes of CPR, and that's the most important thing, is get the CPR started immediately so you can attempt an AD shock.
So you got a pulse? No pulse. He's gonna be shocked. So you got a shock? Okay,
At this point, the victim is clinically dead.
Yeah, heart attack, and Sam and away.
So you got a shock?
The AD machine will tell you, literally with a voice prompt, shock advised or continue CPR.
CPR. Do not touch patient. Analyzing rhythm. Do not touch patient.
The lifeguards attached an AED to the victim when they arrived. Now, they must use it.
The AED is an automated external defibrillator. What the AED does is it's basically a reset button for a patient who's suffering from cardiac arrest. What it does is it sends an electrical impulse through the heart, and hopefully that electrical impulse will reset the heart back into its regular rhythm. Studies have shown that quick deployment of the AED is vital for a patient's survival.
Everybody stay clear. I'm clear, you're clear, we're all clear. Shocking.
Did you guys check to see if she has any oral trauma?
Yeah, she's just clean. She won't open it up.
Okay. Great. Can you open your eyes for me, please?
Lifeguards were helping a seizure victim on Mission Beach when another urgent call came through.
Actually,
let's get inside. Bonita Cove for a possible heart attack. Has about 2 minutes out.
Possible heart attack at Bonita Cove.
We were providing the patient care, turning her over to medics when we got the call of a CPR case right across the street here from the Mission Beach Main Lifeguard Station.
Lifeguards Rick Strobel and Charlie Knight left Code 3. Daryl Pollack, Cola Rosenthal, firefighters and medics stay with the girl.
We wanted to get the patient into the medical room at our main lifeguard tower.
Can you keep that on your face for me? That's oxygen. It's going to help clear up your mind, okay?
We handed her off to medics that are going to transfer her to the hospital. They're going to put her on and analyze her body, see what exactly is going on so they can give her the proper medication that she needs.
"600 yards away at Bonita Cove, lifeguards are working on a pulseless heart attack victim.
I got a call, somebody's having a heart attack, so went down, responded, and then started CPR.
It's now up to San Diego lifeguards to bring him back to life.
Everyone's clear. You're there. Everyone's clear.
There you go. Good job.
The gentleman essentially was dead. And when I say dead, no pulse, no real breathing. That's worst case scenario. However, you don't focus on the negative. I mean, our glass is half full. What can we do now forward to save this gentleman?
After 2 shocks to the heart, the victim regains his pulse and takes an unsteady breath. Paramedics arrive. They work side by side with lifeguards as CPR continues.
Step back. Step back, please. How long we've been down so far?
10 minutes. One overturned vehicle.
Hey, what are his eyes doing, by the way?
Clinging to life, the patient begins to fade again.
Who's running the drug box?
The victim is breathing, but his vital signs have medics concerned.
Bag ready? Bag ready. Okay.
Medics continue to stabilize the victim's heartbeat. And then, it's gone.
He might be there. Take his pulse. Take his pulse. Yeah, I'm not getting the radio anymore. Go ahead and shock him. Okay, hold on. Stand back, guys. It's clear. Clear. Okay. Got blood coming out. You get blood? We just got it. I got it. You want to get that on? Shop, get back on the chest. Back on, get back on. Back on. Back on the chest. Go. Now. 2, 3. Right away. Okay, I got a radio back.
What's your pulse you got?
I got a really strong radio right now. Yeah.
The victim's pulse and breathing steady. He's now ready to be transported.
3rd shock's what did it. After that, you can see a little life in the gentleman, toes moving, and then by that time, they're dropping the proper medications for him.
All right. I'll tell you what, let's load him up and go to the hospital.
You guys want to come straight in? Yeah, if you guys want to lift straight up, we'll go straight in.
Feet first. Need some help on that side. Okay. 3.
The victim's wife, Kitty, has just been through an incredible ordeal. She witnessed her husband's death. Then lifeguards brought him back to life.
John, Kitty's going to see you at the hospital. We're all here for you, John.
All right, he's gonna make it.
When he left the beach, it looked promising. He was breathing on his own with a pulse.
The end result, he got a pulse. They were able to resuscitate him, and he's going to go to the hospital. It's a good feeling. You train for so long for it, and it's good to finally kind of see that come to fruition and kind of see that you made a difference in somebody's life.
The lifeguard was here immediately. They were amazing, and it was incredible. They saved John's life.
This is Windansea Beach, one of the most popular surf spots in America. Its most famous icon is the Surf Shack. This historical landmark has been overlooking the waves since it was built in 1946. At Windansea, the large rocks dotting the coast extend past the shoreline, creating offshore reefs and steep ledges. This dynamic seafloor contributes to Windansea's remarkable surf break. However, these waves are better left to the experts. A large storm in New Zealand has pushed a massive swell towards San Diego. It will hit from the south, which is the perfect direction for surfers at Wind and Sea Beach. Today, lifeguards Todd Rice and Al Valentine will spend their day perched in front of the popular point known as Flat Rock.
Just actively watching the water. We got a lot of potential out here with this south swell from New Zealand, so extra high alert, and there's a lot of preventative acts and making a lot of good rescues today. Like these two guys heading out spearfishing right now. I've already made contact with them. It's really not a good day to go out spearfishing. Can't there see your hand in front of your face today and nonetheless see a fish. So I guarantee they'll probably be back in within 10 minutes. A lot of locals are really confident out here, but we get a lot of foreigners that come out and don't really realize the situation they might be getting into. So those are the ones that we're really on the lookout for today.
Visitor Kim Provost experienced firsthand the dangerous terrain of Wind and Sea Beach.
I was standing with my husband and my daughter down by these rocks over here. I just wasn't paying attention, and the wave came in and just swept me off my feet, and then I was grabbing for my daughter, who's only 4.5, and I was worried about her, and I ended up just getting slammed into the rocks twice. So I'm from Phoenix visiting, and with the surf being this high, it was scary.
There's a set rolling through on the outside, so it's gonna come in right here.
You might as well just go get her, dude, because
she's getting pretty far out. When people start getting sucked out, you can see them drifting further and further out, and you have to respond quickly because you can't wait until someone's on the outside or they're panicked and way far out. A lot of things go into deciding if someone needs help. Sometimes people just have no idea. You got to be in on those guys quick. You can see it right here where this water's extending outward. That's how you know there's a rip there. You kind of see it too. It looks like a river.
Wind and Sea Beach is defined by its steep underwater drop-offs. Swimmers need only to walk a few yards from shore before the bottom slips away.
The rip that's off Flat Rock right here is pulling really, really hard. So it's just sucking people that are waist deep, ankle deep, just straight out.
Several minutes after entering the water, the pair of spearfishermen surface near an outcropping of jagged rocks. Lifeguard Rice notices a rip current has pinned one of the men against the reef. He reacts quickly. Rice rides the rip current out toward the victim and is immediately sucked into the whitewash. The man continues to struggle, but the rip is too strong. Rice signals the other victim to swim to shore. The victim tries to follow his friend, but he's trapped in the surf. Rice knows there is only one way back to the shore. Now, they must ride the rip current back out and through the rocks. One victim is now free of the rip. Rice leads the other around Flat Rock. If a large wave breaks now, they will be dashed against the reef.
I initially went out on those two spear fishermen, and the one guy lost a spear, and then they got caught outside of Flat Rock here. I just went out and rescued them. Standard rescue, but just trying to keep everyone safe.
I expect it to be a little rough today, but I thought I'd be able to handle it. But yeah, it was just a little tough. So I'm glad he came out and got us.
August 11, 2012 was the day John Purvis died.
How long we've been down so far?
10 minutes. One overturned vehicle.
Hey, what are his eyes doing, by the way? 10 point? Dude, check his pulse. I'm not getting the radio anymore. Go ahead and shock him. Okay, hold on. Stand back, guys.
It was instant, there was no warning, and we got him on the ground, and people were rushing for help, and I just felt terrified and helpless, and it was awful.
August 11, 2012 is also the day he came back to life.
All right, he's gonna make it.
John and Kitty have returned to Bonita Cove. to remember and to appreciate the gift they both got that day.
The fact that they were able to start CPR instantly or immediately, and then they brought the paddles to get my heart working again, the electric paddles, that's what saved it. Otherwise, this is not a bad place to go, but I'm not ready yet.
Everything was going great. John feeling fine and in rare form, as usual.
A person ran up on a bike and said, hey, somebody's having a heart attack. So went down, respond, let the main station know, you're responding to a medical aid. And from there, we saw him. He was not breathing well. He had a really thready pulse, hard to find.
Get airway. Don't touch him. Clear. You're touching him.
He was blue in the face, a lot of difficulty breathing, kind of laying on his side, and he was in rough shape.
I mean, he was fading fast. His color was not good, and he was going, going quick, basically.
The gentleman essentially was dead. The guards that responded began just old school CPR, and that's the most important thing, is get the CPR started immediately. You don't focus on the negative. I mean, our glass is half full. What can we do now forward to save this gentleman?
It is this attitude that helps all lifeguards transcend the duty of public safety. Their reward is knowing they were able to bring a loved one back to family alive.
The lifeguards and the paramedics absolutely saved his life that day. We were so grateful.
So this is kind of what you've trained for. So you just training kicks in and you jump right in and start going.
Yeah, it just wasn't my time. God looked down and she wasn't ready to let me go.
He's here today. He's here. It wasn't his time. He's here.
The work by the lifeguards and others is what really saved my life.
On this edition of Lifeguard.
4110, can you jump on a boat and head out there? I'm coming from the bay.
Immediately I heard somebody indicating they needed help. They needed help now. It was an emergency.
Cardiac arrest for approximately 10 minutes.
And
911 call at Emerald Cove.
I see a person on the face 15, 20 feet up the cliff, which right away, I've got a situation.
plus,
Take a seat on the ground, or we're gonna have you do it. Please move back, ma'am.
What happened? What happened?
Take a seat on the ground. Sir.
and later.
Make some space for the paramedics, please.
Let's put him on the backboard and get him out of here.
Ready, 1, 2, 3.
The lifeguards of Southern California protect over 400 miles of coastline.
It's just really us versus nature.
And nothing impacts their day like the weather.
As lifeguards, the weather dictates the type of day that you're going to have.
Shark sighting, clear the water. I need medics to ski beach dock and other units.
On these beaches, lifeguards are the first responders.
1, 2, I got 3, 4. When you get this many people coming to the beach, things are going to happen.
Hey, you all right, buddy? You there?
They are there to save you.
He told me to grab the buoy. He was literally right there.
They are there to lifeguard. Mission Beach is located just north of San Diego. The 2-mile stretch of sand begins at the Mission Bay Inlet and extends north to Pacific Beach. With miles of boardwalk, beautiful beaches, and a central location, Mission Beach is busy year-round. Today, lifeguard Charlie Knight is working out of the Mission Beach main tower.
The surface picked up a little bit, about 2 to 3 feet. We have some pretty warm water, so I'm expecting the sun to come out and to stay out for the rest of the day. At about 1 o'clock or so, the tide's really going to start fluctuating. It's going to go to a lower tide and water's really going to start moving. I expect to see more rescues around that time.
4 Sam on Ring 2. We're getting a VHF 16 call. The vessel Marissa has an unconscious diver.
Mission, can you send your ski to head to the Yukon?
An unconscious diver is a serious call. Charlie Knight reacts quickly.
Wait for him en route off of main Paramedic Beach.
Thank you, Charlie Knight.
He boards a sled behind PWC operator Colo Rosenthal for the journey to Wreck Alley. Located 1 mile off Mission Beach, Wreck Alley is a designated area of sunken vessels used for recreational diving. It includes 6 sunken ships, the largest of which is the Yukon.
The Yukon is a Canadian destroyer that was decommissioned, many years ago now. They've cut holes out of this vessel so people can kind of penetrate a little bit easier. There's plenty of ambient light, so it's a very rewarding dive. And then there's also areas that can be a little more challenging.
Today, the dive boat Marissa is anchored above the Yukon. Dive partners Mitchell Fromang and Steve Blumenthal were just finishing their first dive when they noticed a fellow diver in distress.
My dive partner and me were first in the water, and we were first back on the boat. And then we heard somebody on the side of the boat calling.
And immediately I heard somebody indicating they needed help. They needed help now. It was an emergency. He was obviously having problems.
41 Sanford, jump on a boat and head out there. I'm coming from the bay.
Lifeguard Sergeant Troy Keach also hears the call.
I'm out in one of our big fire boats, which can do almost anything and has all the rescue gear.
Keach will be the incident commander. His first move? Radioing dispatch for additional resources.
Rescue 6, respond.
Lifeguard Sergeant John Vipon was piloting Rescue 6 as it left headquarters Code 3.
It's important to get there fast because it's an emergency. Often there's a life at stake.
3 minutes into the call, lifeguards have a PWC, Rescue 6, and Troy Keach's well-equipped fire rescue boat all heading to the scene. Meanwhile, back on the Marissa,
The dive master and the skipper got her gear off, got her wetsuit pulled down. He couldn't find pulse. And we proceeded to do CPR. Had to roll her on her side several times to clear. Lifeguards were out there within minutes.
Set 2 is on scene. We have 2 lifeguards responding.
So I got on scene, and it was a 56-year-old female. She was in cardiac arrest. I told Colo, the operator of the PWC, to get a dive profile, and then I went ahead and got onto the boat and continued CPR.
Charlie is an 8-year veteran lifeguard stationed in his hometown of San Diego.
When I was 7 years old, I actually nearly drowned in Ensenada, Mexico. Got sucked out into a big rip current in the channel, and before I knew it, I was going to the ocean pretty quick. And my dad came out and rescued me. And from that day forward, I knew that I wanted to save lives one way or another.
Charlie Knight took his passion and became a paramedic. Day in and day out, he was involved in saving lives. But something was missing.
I didn't find it to be as gratifying because you didn't know what was going to happen to that patient. You sent them to the hospital, and you didn't know the final outcome usually.
Put them on some O2.
Charlie Knight's an amazing lifeguard.
Hey, change it to a non-rebreather now.
He's able to combine his passion with his job.
You need it.
You know, he loves what he's doing, and it really shows in his effort. With his advanced training as a paramedic, he's invaluable to us.
Best thing about being a lifeguard is just making a difference, in all honesty. There's nothing better than swimming out to a victim that's in distress and they have those big bug eyes. And once you get to them, they grab onto that buoy with all their life, and you're able to give them a couple comforting words, calm them down, and swim them in. There's really nothing better than knowing that they're going to go home to their family that night.
Back on the Marissa, Charlie takes over the rescue. His paramedic training will be put to the test. He's inherited a pulseless victim in cardiac arrest. 1.5 miles by boat from the nearest ambulance. This rescue will not be easy. 3 miles north of Wreck Alley sits La Jolla, California. Known as the jewel of San Diego, La Jolla features luxury homes and upscale shopping. But the real gem in La Jolla is where the Pacific Ocean meets the rocky shore. Today, San Diego is experiencing temperatures in the low 90s, which is driving the public west to the cool air and refreshing waters of La Jolla Cove.
It's a super busy day, busiest day of the summer today. The water's warm, it's hot, people are getting in and doing their thing.
John Kerr has been guarding La Jolla for 16 years, so he knows that despite the Cove's seemingly calm waters, an emergency can happen at any time.
We have a 911 call. 2 victims in distress at Emerald Cove.
Sam, copy. Let's get a cliff response rolling. I'll update all units when I get on scene.
John Kerr quickly grabs his rescue board and starts paddling. 1 mile to the south, lifeguards Jim Lockwood and Lance Mendoza react to the call.
Rescue West copies. Responding Code 3.
The reason we go Code 3 in that area because it's so heavily populated with snorkelers, kayakers, swimmers. We can't just stealth over there without lights and sirens. It just lets everyone around you know that you're responding to emergency, so don't cross our path.
Emerald Cove is a beautiful but dangerous inlet 200 yards north of Kerr's location. The rocky pocket beach is surrounded on 3 sides by 100-foot cliffs, with water being the only way in or out.
So I paddled over there on the rescue board and I see 2 victims in the cove. One 15, 20 feet up the face of the cliff, which many have tried to scale, but no one's ever made it. So right away, I've got a situation.
Kerr discovers that the 2 victims are sisters. One is safely on the rocky beach, but the other is stuck in a dangerous spot.
One of the most dangerous things is, of course, her falling, her getting nervous, her getting fatigued and falling.
It's a warm, sunny day in La Jolla, California, and lifeguards are responding to an urgent call of 2 young women stuck in Emerald Cove. Lifeguard John Kerr is first on scene.
I see a person on the face, 15, 20 feet up the cliff. So right away, I've got a situation.
Rescue West arrives within 2 minutes.
I could only go into about 20 feet offshore before we're gonna hit the bottom. It's all reef bottom there.
Lifeguard Lance Mendoza paddles into the cove to back up Kerr. He finds one victim safe on the beach, but the other is in grave danger. Because of the lack of rainfall, the steep, rocky cliff face is prone to landslides, which could send rocks tumbling down on the victim.
She's right in that crevice, you see her? Okay.
Kerr continues to keep the victim calm, while lifeguard AJ Vila makes his descent.
See her? She's right in that crevice.
Spectators have begun to gather on the surrounding cliff tops, including the girl's concerned father. Vila must be incredibly careful. One misstep can cause a rain of rocks. Even the rescuer's rope brushing on the dry earth sends loose dirt down the cliff face.
IC dispatch update, rescuers at the victim.
She was a 15-year-old girl. She was pretty scared.
The first order of business is getting a helmet on the victim's head to protect her from falling rocks and debris.
Rescuer to ops. Victim secure. Ready to lower. Ops copies. Lowering slowly.
Both victims are now safely on the beach, but lifeguards still need to get them off the dangerous rocks. Lifeguard Lance Mendoza paddles one sister to the rescue boat, leaving the other to Kerr.
The rocks are really slippery. She's a little fatigued, but I've got to get them from across the cobbles and into the water. And then once we're in the water, we're pretty comfortable and we're pretty safe.
We were gonna go and explore the caves, and so we tried to climb up some of the sand dunes, and I kind of got stuck.
Three miles south on the dive boat Marissa, lifeguard Charlie Knight is trying to revive a pulseless diver.
Approximately 4 minutes into the cardiac arrest, the rescue boat pulled up.
Our next step was to get the patient transferred to Rescue 6 so we could get her en route back to the ambulance and paramedics.
Rescue 6 heads Code 3 back to headquarters.
This is my first time ever doing CPR on a boat. We have the wakes, and we have the swells, and we have the wind. Trying to maintain your position while you're trying to do effective CPR is very, very challenging.
Charlie Knight continues CPR on the victim. She still has no pulse. He's in rough seas and time is against him. After several minutes, his hard work pays off.
About midway through the transportation over to the dock, we did get a shockable rhythm, and we were able to shock her once with the AED.
AED is an acronym for Automated External Defibrillator. The device is attached to the victim's chest and monitors the heart, administering a shock at the most effective time. Back at Lifeguard headquarters, San Diego paramedics are on scene minutes before Rescue 6 arrives with the patient. The journey from the Yukon to Lifeguard headquarters has taken 5 minutes. Lifeguard Knight continues to administer CPR as Sergeant John Vipon quickly docks the boat for the turnover to awaiting paramedics.
Cardiac arrest for approximately 10 minutes. CPR was started right away, and we saw it one time.
We did CPR all the way to the dock. Once we got to the dock, the paramedics continued CPR. They were able to shock her once. The husband was also there, and so my heart obviously goes out to the husband because I couldn't imagine diving with my wife and having such a horrific event happen.
This is Huntington Beach, California. Consistent swells caused by storms year-round give Huntington Beach the nickname Surf City, USA. Today, the water is a cool 63 degrees, but that does not deter surfers and swimmers from flocking to this historic beach.
Today's kind of a day like we've had recently with the gloom, heavy overcast. It was actually kind of drizzling from time to time this morning. Not really great beach weather day. The last couple weeks we've had weather similar to this. Some days it burns off and gets really, really nice, and other days it just stays what we call June gloom for the whole day. There's a lot of surfers here today because the waves finally picked up and it's been small for a while, and now we finally have a swell and warmer water, so we'll have a lot of surfers out there, so there'll be a lot of people swimming. So the guards will probably be, making rescues throughout the day.
Lifeguard dispatch.
11907 in for a near drowning.
14-year-old Caitlin Jennings was cooling down in the ocean when she noticed a man in distress.
We were jumping on the waves and I turned around and he was underwater, and I thought that he just fell off his board. And then I turned around again and he was still underwater. His face was kind of blue. So I grabbed his arm and I was screaming for help.
Lifeguard Sean McLaughlin was on Tower 13 when he saw Caitlin struggling to keep the man's head above water.
By the time I got there, he was semi-conscious and he was breathing, but he was on his way out.
Open your eyes! Open your eyes! Stay with us, pal.
Veteran lifeguard Matt Carl is patrolling nearby. His job is backing up the tower guards.
611 guard at Tower 13 is signaling code 3, waterline.
We just heard a code 3 call at Tower 13, which means the guard
611
needs help immediately.
Hey, you all right, buddy? You there?
McLaughlin and the other lifeguards have no idea what happened to the victim. While some administer basic first aid, McLaughlin interviews witnesses.
They started saying that he was twitching and then they saw him collapse, like in waist-deep water. And so they think he had a seizure.
An epileptic seizure is abnormal and excessive neurological activity, which manifests as wild thrashing or loss of awareness. Often, victims are unable to control their bodies and become unconscious. Matt Carl takes over as supervisor.
Was he pulled out of the water?
He had a seizure on the wave, and then they pulled me over and I was pulling him in.
Okay. Having a seizure in the water is definitely life-threatening. You lose control of your airway, so if you go underwater, you're going to aspirate salt water. If you're in deep water, you're going to go under.
We were trying to talk to the guy. He was conscious, but he wasn't able to speak.
Do you have a seizure?
Lifeguards have another problem, transferring the victim to a higher level of care. The medics have arrived, but are 200 yards away at the edge of the beach.
We don't know if he went down and hit his head, which may have caused his seizure. So we take all the precautions to make sure that we stabilize him, put a cervical collar around his neck.
Vibrate, still breathing?
Still breathing.
Okay, good.
They're not able to drive out on the sand. The fire trucks, the ambulance, they pretty much have to stage in the parking lot or on the bike path here.
More responsive than he has been.
Brock, you and Chris have the airway stuff? Okay.
When we were trying to talk to the guy, he was conscious, but he wasn't able to speak. So at that point, it's just maintaining life support.
All right, straight to the truck up on the mountain up there.
Watch out! Clear path! Clear path!
The entire time from the time the call started until he was in our truck, he was unresponsive and barely conscious. But as we were driving him back, he kind of came out of his seizure. And by the time we got him back to the paramedics, he was breathing normally, had full movement. So we were then able to rule out a cervical injury. And hopefully it'll be a good outcome for him.
"32 miles south at La Jolla Shores, the temperature is perfect and the crowds are enjoying the California beach life. But not everyone is having the day they'd planned.
I was out in the water with my 3-year-old son, and this man approached me. He kept falling and he was not okay. He would stand up but then fall right back down into the water. He would just ask people that were walking by him if they could lift him up. I could tell that he was not in any good condition. So I ran to the lifeguard and I told him what I witnessed.
Thomas Valenti was in Tower 32 when he was approached by the witness.
So I went to investigate, and the male was lying down in about 2 feet of water. So I grabbed his hand and assisted him up, told him that we needed to go into the beach. And then he turned on me, and from there, he shoved me with 2 hands into my upper chest.
Dispatch contacting 31 Sam for assault on a lifeguard at Tower 32.
He turned on me and went back and then shoved me away, and then I just backed off.
If he did that to the lifeguard, what else would he have done to somebody else?
Valenti's supervisor, Sergeant Mike Cranston, reaches out for backup.
Advising we have contacted PD.
Going to attempt to relocate him now, and he assaulted one of our lifeguards. One of our tower guards had gone in to check on the welfare of a gentleman in the ocean, and he had turned somewhat violent, and that's just not okay. The lifeguards are here to ensure the safety of everyone and to maintain some semblance of law and order on the beach. Take a seat on the ground, right now. I got to protect the staff around here, and we've got to let other people know that the lifeguards are the good guys in this situation. And we need to tell them that you're not free to walk away right now. Take a seat on the ground right now. Do not step forward, take a seat on the ground. Sorry. We're gonna help you take a seat on the ground if you don't do it for us. So take a seat on the ground. Sorry, man. Take a seat on the ground, or we're gonna help you do it. Please move back, ma'am.
What happened?
Beachgoers begin to notice the commotion, including the man's concerned sister.
Seat on the ground.
He's drunk. I mean, he was drinking way too much. I know he's in the wrong, so I understand what they're doing. Yeah.
He pushed one of the lifeguards, and that is illegal to do. So we're gonna have you remaining on the ground right now. You're not free to stand up. What's your name? Immediately he became combative. He didn't want to talk to us. He didn't want to follow any commands.
Sir, stay seated. Stay seated. Sir, stay seated. Get back down or you're going to get pepper sprayed. Do you want to get pepper
on the
sprayed?
ground. And that's just not okay. We can't have that going on the beach. This one event is now sucking all of our attention and all our eyes that way. We just have to get past it and then get on to lifeguarding.
San Diego police are quickly on scene to back up the lifeguards.
I'm not doing nothing. It's an aspect of lifeguarding that we have some training and some tools in order to help us facilitate a peaceful outcome. It's not our favorite part of the job by any means. Luckily, we don't have to do it all that often, but it had a good outcome today, and no one was injured, and everybody gets to go home.
And so when you push them, that's why he's a peace officer. You can't push a lifeguard. You can't push anybody. So you're gonna go detox, all right? Okay? You're good.
We talked to the family. They assured us that this wasn't how this gentleman usually acts, and no one was injured. So we're not going to press any charges against him. I'm sure once he sobers up, he'll realize that he made a few errors in judgment.
All right, ma'am. I know you haven't.
We'll be here in a couple hours.
Just lots of water. Just be good.
All right, we're gonna go.
Thank you.
Thanks. He did seem quite remorseful at the end. He started to sober up and realize that he'd got himself into a situation that he didn't want to be in, and we didn't want him to be there either. It was just going to be the safest, best outcome for everyone if he was to leave the beach, and then maybe he'll come to terms with this is just not a behavior I want to engage in next time I go out for a summer's day at the beach.
on this edition of Lifeguard.
Kid hit the water, other friend hit right on top of him.
Any slight movement could cause paralysis.
We're going to need everybody away from the cliff.
And
I just look and I see a head way out there in the rip current. I thought the guy was going under. The waves are probably 10 to 12 feet out there, and he was swimming straight through them.
plus,
Is he allergic to bee stings? This child had rashes and trouble breathing. He's going to start to go into shock.
and later,
Dispatch to all units. We have a 4-year-old missing child.
You last saw him in the water, right?
Yeah.
the lifeguards of Southern California protect over 400 miles of coastline,
It's just really us versus nature.
and nothing impacts their day like the weather.
As lifeguards, the weather dictates the type of day that you're going to have.
Shark sighting up there in the water.
I need medics to ski beach dock and other units.
On these beaches, lifeguards are the first responders.
1, 2, I got 3.
When you get this many people coming to the beach, things are going to happen.
Hey, you all right, buddy? You there?
They are there to save you.
He told me to grab the buoy. He was literally right there.
They are there to lifeguard. This is Sunset Cliffs in San Diego, California, where the ocean dramatically collides with steep cliff faces, creating awe-inspiring beauty. Thanks to a weather phenomenon called the Pacific High, temperatures remain mild here almost year-round.
The Pacific High, which is a permanent feature over the Pacific Ocean, affects us in a great way all up and down the North American West Coast. If it's a large, strong Pacific High, that will end up deflecting in a storm formation or Pacific lows, and it's going to push it inland over the continental U.S. rather than allowing it to flood down all the way into what is usually sunny Southern California.
During the hot summer months, when air temperatures peak, visitors like to cool off in the ocean. Some hike down to the rocky beaches. Others take a more dangerous approach. One of the most popular areas for cliff jumping is Claiborne's Cove, and people of all ages come here to jump from the arch. Cliff heights range from 5 to 30 feet, but here, jumping from over 5 feet is both dangerous and illegal. With shifting tides and hidden rocks, a carefree jump can go wrong in a hurry.
My kid jumped off, and then he was jumping with his friend. His friend went right after him. Kid hit the water, other friend hit right on top of him. And then when they came up, the other kid was like out of it. His mouth was bleeding, so they carried him up on the cliff. I used my friend's phone to call the ambulance.
Dispatch to 1 Sam for a report of a medical aid. It's going to be a 20-year-old male collided with another. Indicate traumatic injuries due to a fall and a loss of sensation in the legs.
1 Sam to dispatch. We'll go ahead and get in service. We'll take Jet 1, and I'm going to need 11 Sam to come to Ocean Beach to cover.
We deployed Jet 1, myself as an operator, and Michael Smoker as a crew person. Responded Code 3.
Lifeguard Lonnie Stevens is patrolling the ocean on Rescue West when he hears the call.
I was on a surf rescue boat. We were less than 2 minutes away.
Rescue West, copy. Do you know if the victim's still in the water?
On a ledge, there was a male who was laying on the rocks. He had been extricated from the water already. I determined that he's conscious and breathing, and then I try to get a quick background as to what happened and what his primary injuries were.
Jet 1 arrives to back up Stevens.
Saw that Guard Stevens was taking ceasefire precautions, so jumped in the water to assist with that.
Copy, this is Rescue West on dispatch to the 16-year-old patient is down just above the jumping spot on a shelf here at Osprey. He's oriented ×3, neck and back pain, and he's having difficulty breathing.
This patient could have significant neck or back injury, and any slight movement could possibly cause further damage to their spinal cord. So until we have the patient completely packaged in the C-collar and mobilized to the backboard, we take great caution not to move the patient any more than we have to.
Lifeguard Lieutenant Greg Buchanan arrives on scene and takes over as incident commander.
We came with a rescue boat, a jet ski, and then paramedics and fire.
Paramedics quickly take over care, evaluating the injured team. Lifeguards have set up safety ropes to prevent rescuers from falling.
It was a very difficult area to access. Trying to extract them around slippery rocks and up basically a 10-foot ledge could be very difficult.
From there, we have to think about, okay, well, how are we going to extricate? And so the option that was decided was to call a helicopter and do an air evacuation via the helicopter, which is a bit tricky.
Helicopter pilot Eric Connell and medic Chris Sauvé are at Montgomery Field when they receive the call.
We saw it was Lifeguard in need of assistance down at Sunset Cliffs. We just lift off and we go. And en route, we gather up as much information as we can.
The fire rescue helicopter surveys the scene and consults with Buchanan before deciding on an approach from the south.
We're going to need them to do some crowd control. We're going to need everybody away from the cliff.
Paramedic Chris Sauvé will be descending to the rocks.
So once we started to make our approach and I left the aft cabin of the helicopter, I don't have voice communication with anybody in the helicopter any longer. So everything is done off of hand signals. So I'm looking for obstacles in my way of the approach as we fly in. And the first signal I'm going to give is when I'm 10 feet off of perceived obstacle or the ground. And in this case, it was the first cliff edge with lifeguards and their rope systems before we got to the other side where the victim was. So I gave Captain O'Malley the 10-foot off signal when I was there. And as soon as we clear them, I give them the down signal, and we go down from there to the water's edge. Once I touched down on the ground and secured myself to the safety, I had to do a quick survey, just to investigate for any other injuries.
Okay, 16-year-old male, about 150 pounds. We'll need about 5 minutes for packaging.
The 16-year-old boy is still having difficulty breathing. And while his neck and back are now immobilized, there is still life-threatening danger. The victim must be moved from his position and secured inside a Bauman bag. Transferring the patient quickly and safely is imperative.
We take extra measures to make sure the patient is stabilized, his neck, his spine, everything is in line to prevent any further injury, making sure we keep the patient secure all the way up to the helicopter.
The victim is stabilized on a backboard, but the extent of his injuries is unknown. He needs higher level care quickly. Lifting the patient to the helicopter requires a high hover, an essential but risky maneuver. "100 feet in the air, Chris Sauvé continues to calm the nervous patient. Any sudden movement now could cause the two men to spin uncontrollably.
With somebody with a spinal injury, we try and make that transition as smooth as possible and prevent any jarring of the patient. Our helicopters have the hoist mounted on the outside of the aircraft, which creates a little bit of a tricky situation once we pull on some straps to bring the patient into the aircraft.
Go doors closed once we get them back in so we can increase our airspeed.
Lifeguard dispatch copies, patient extricated, transporting UCSD via Copter 1.
I think that was a good role for the helicopter, and because of the training we've done with them, we know what to expect, and then we know what they need from us, and they know what we're going to be asking them to do. So it's good teamwork, lots of training, and we'll continue to train because you need to keep the stuff sharp.
Known as Surf City, USA, Huntington Beach was made famous by the 1963 song of the same name. Considered to have the most consistent surfing waves on the West Coast, Huntington Beach still lives up to its moniker. Here, large offshore sandbars help create epic surf for everyone to enjoy. Lifeguard Doug Leach has been patrolling this beach for over 12 years.
Definitely keep everything ice because it's pretty swollen. Not too bad. Girls still like it.
Like all lifeguards, Leach checked the weather before he came to work.
Hot temperatures inland are making people flock to the beach. And with that said, we're having a lot of heavy west wind. So the water was a lot warmer a couple days ago. A few days ago it was upwards of 70 degrees. Now we're looking around 60 degrees. That's all due to the heavy winds we've been getting.
Doug is making a routine patrol when he receives an urgent call.
Tower 0 advised that there's a very large rip current. Multiple people in the rip. Just considering
41 from 0, code 2 response 1, so many rip might have lost his board. 41 copy.
Now it's been upgraded to a code 2 call.
Lifeguard Leo Polishek was scanning the waters in front of Tower 20 and noticed a man stuck at the end of a dangerous rip.
This guy was just going up and down, bobbing, like raising his hand, like he was in trouble. Right then, I just realized probably should just go.
An inexperienced surfer stuck in a rip current can prove deadly.
I just look and I see a head way out there in the rip current. Put my head down and then didn't even know whether I should put my head up to like just have a visual on him or put my head down to sprint.
Mike Ingram was on the beach and witnessed the startling event unfold.
Waves are probably 10 to 12 feet out there, and he was swimming straight through them. His arms are still going through the breaking waves, and he stopped maybe once just to triangulate because I think he lost the guy he was trying to get to.
You have visual of the...
Polishek reaches the victim. At the same time, Leach arrives to back up Tower 20. But the rip current is still building. Leach calls for PWC backup.
That was a huge rip current. That was probably the biggest rip current I've ever been in. I mean, I thought the guy was going under.
As Polishek strains to keep the victim afloat, the PWC races to the scene.
Some huge rip. Guard made contact with the victim, and now the PWC is picking both of them up right in the middle of the rip. First, we thought there might have been a second victim, but just with the glare, turned out the second person was the guard. 41 from 20. -0 advised that the swimmer you have might be the one who lost the board.
41 affirmative. This was the victim that has to report. I'm going to take him in for Tower 20.
You all right, man? You didn't, did you swallow any water at all?
I'm fine, man, but that was crazy.
Did you swallow any water?
A little bit, but not a lot.
All right, well, just to make sure, you might just come and have a seat up here and we'll just evaluate. Just want to listen to your lungs.
Of course.
Leo. Good work, man. Good work. I think it was a monster of a rip. He was just an inexperienced surfer that got in over his head, and if Leo weren't here, he easily could have drowned.
Take a deep breath for me. We just wanted to go out and ride some whitewash, and I got sucked out like so fast. I was trying to stay calm, wait till it to like die down a little bit, but it was getting worse. You know what I mean?
That rip when we pulled up, it was massive, man.
I didn't even know anyone was coming to get me. And then I see this guy just coming, and it's like, it was insane, for sure. It was insane. And I just kept saying sorry, how sorry I was, and they're like, dude, there's nothing you could have done.
This is Huntington State Beach, located 50 miles south of Los Angeles. This popular stretch of sand extends for 2 miles. Pedro Giron has spent 2 decades on this beach. He's witnessed almost everything, so he realizes that even a small problem can turn deadly.
We're rolling medics on a possible allergic reaction of these things.
Temporada, I'm en route. Possible allergic reaction here at headquarters.
Difference between a regular bee sting and somebody who's allergic to bees, it's critical. Their airway gets obstructed, they're having difficulty breathing, you know, they could die.
Lifeguard Brian Stoudenbauer is already on scene.
I was in headquarters. A lady came knocking on the door saying her son had been stung by a bee. This child had rashes and trouble breathing, so this was a pretty critical incident and he needed to get further medical attention.
Lifeguard Enyo Roca was already in action.
And we dispatch medics right away because knowing that he's already allergic to bee stings, it's automatically, you gotta get the medics rolling.
Breathing on high, just having a hard time breathing. So we got him on high flow too.
How's it going, buddy? Doing all right? Are you cold? When I first arrived, he was having difficulty swallowing. That's one of the signs of allergic reaction. You know, the throat starts to close on them. Where did you get stung at? I could clearly see that he was having a reaction by the rash that he was getting underneath his armpits, the neck area, the back. It became clearly that he was in distress. You want to lay down, buddy? You want to lay down? All right. He was panicking a little bit. He was concerned that he was having difficulty swallowing.
So what happened? Tell me.
I was sitting down and I was eating chips and then I
Uh-huh.
I got up and it stung me.
And it stung you? Okay. How long ago did that happen?
Like 20 minutes.
20 minutes ago? Yeah.
A bee sting to normal people is just uncomfortable, but to someone who's allergic, who develops an anaphylactic shock to a bee sting, it's life-threatening.
Daniel, do you know where you are right now? At the beach, yeah. Cool.
I did a lot of talking with him, mostly verbalizing to calm him down, but a lot of it to see the air exchange, to see if he's still able to talk to me, to communicate to me. And when I'm looking at him, I'm making sure that he's stable and he's not going into any type of shock.
So if like 0 is no pain and 10 is the worst pain you've ever had, what number would you give it? Like a 9? Really? Have you ever gone to the hospital before? For this? When you were a baby, you went? Okay.
This is the 3rd time he was stung, and every time he gets stung, it gets worse and worse as the reaction goes on.
Paramedics arrive on scene and quickly evaluate the boy's symptoms and vital signs. Then they administer epinephrine.
Epinephrine is adrenaline, and that's what you use for an allergic reaction. It actually allows the person to breathe easier because it relaxes the muscles, especially the respiratory area.
Facility with an ETA of about 7 to 8 minutes. We got some traffic on PCH here.
If you know you have severe allergies, it's always good to have an EpiPen prescribed to you, so you know in case of emergency, you'll limit your risk of going into shock or having a more serious incident than you should.
"80 miles to the south at Torrey Pines State Beach, visitors are experiencing near-perfect weather. California State Peace Officer Shane Scoggins is supervising lifeguards on the crowded beach.
When we have super warm water like this, there isn't that much of a pressure change between what's happening on land and what's happening on the ocean, so the wind stays down, and that's why nobody's gone home yet.
The area around Tower 5 is one of the most popular locations in Torrey Pines. It has ample parking and a wide river mouth that feeds warm water into the ocean. It's a magnet for little kids and the site of today's last call.
14171-546, Lifeguard.
Dispatch to all units. We have a 4-year-old missing child south of Tower 5, last seen in the water.
So a 4-year-old last seen by the slough, so we'll go see if we can find him. Got a description and go make contact with the parents. What was his name?
Shivansh, S-H-I-V-A-N-S-H.
Shivansh. Where's all your guys' stuff?
There.
The red umbrella?
No. There, next to the blue umbrella.
Is anyone else with you?
Yeah, my husband and my another
Where are they?
My husband is looking for him and the another child is sitting there twins. I'm sure he went into the water.
That's particularly sketchy for us because the tide was filling back in and people that have been crossing back and forth over that water have been doing fine until it just got flooded. So we have a couple different ways to take the call.
Is that your husband right there crossing the...
Yeah.
Was he with anybody else, any other kids, or just by himself?
I think he was alone.
Alone? You last saw him in the water, right?
Yeah, here.
Okay, like right in here? My concern every time that there's a child last seen in the water is I want to trust that my guards didn't miss one. But it's always in the back of my mind, when do I need to start changing gears here and go from a land search to surface dives and going through the submersion protocols? And you didn't actually see him go down, right?
No.
So as of right now, we're going to treat this as a lost child.
Okay.
My job is to not outwardly be stressed out so that I don't pass that on to mom. It's important to give her a reason to have faith in us so that the more composed and calm that she is, the easier it's going to be for us to get the job done and find her child for her.
With lifeguards scanning the beach for the missing boy, Peace Officer Shane Scoggins enlists the help of Torrey Pines State Park Ranger Kyle Knox.
It's a 4-year-old with blue shorts, Indian juvenile. His last seen by the slough in the water. I'd like someone to do the bathroom run first.
Officer Scoggins now has a park ranger searching north of Tower 5 and lifeguards looking south of the river mouth.
I can tell you that most of the lifeguards are watching the water, you know. I know he's a non-swimmer, I know you guys are concerned, but little guys tend to wander off. So don't get too worried yet, okay?
We're looking for a 4-year-old boy with a white shirt. All right.
The search has continued for 40 minutes, and over 20 lifeguards have eyes on both land and water looking for the missing 4-year-old.
Dispatch to all units. The missing juvenile has been located by the north boundary.
Yeah. All attention, all units on Copper. 1297 has located lost child.
I made it approximately a quarter-mile north, and I was thinking, I don't think the child made it this far. And I kept on going a little bit farther, and someone flagged me down, saying they saw a little boy.
All the way up to that north boundary. I'll be back around Tower 5 area.
One of our vehicles went up to the north boundary, and they located him, so he's in the truck with them, and then driving back now. He's all right.
Thanks a lot.
And yeah, so I'm happy for you.
The boy has been found 1 mile north of his original location by Park Ranger Kyle Knox.
All right, lucky guy. You got to ride in the truck.
Shivansh, where did you go? Huh? Why? Look, everybody was searching for you.
They found my boy. Lifeguard, they're doing a really awesome job. They brought him back to me.
Back here, just trying to stay a little closer to mom, right?
I know. Just for a few seconds, we were just moving our stuff from that place to this place, and they were just playing here in this corner.
Yeah.
In a few seconds.
When you look at it from their perspective, like the whole beach from like this high, it's just people. It's really disorienting. So normally when you show up to the beach, like, hey, we're by Tower 5, and if you don't know where you are, go ask for Tower 5 or go to the blue tower. It's so much easier if the kid comes to us and then we can try and find you guys. But we're good. You guys enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks a lot.
I'm just pumped it wasn't we found him on land and not in the water, because all I'm thinking is what's the next step. So I'm just kind of stressing out about worst case scenario. So it's a big relief for me, and then I'm just happy to see mom happy again.